Okay guys, so you got your carburetor out, you went and watched the video, I told you to, you got it out. Now you need to remember that there's fuel still in this fuel bowl down here. So grab your 3mm Allen wrench and loosen up this screw right here on the bottom. That's the bowl drain here. Doesn't take much, you don't have to take it all the way out, just like 2 turns or so. A couple tips here, make sure we got all of it out. And then lightly seat that screw back. Don't have to He-Man that one. Okay, couple things. This is your slide right here. This is your butterfly over here. When you crank the throttle, this is what opens. But even with this open, you see how the slide doesn't do anything, right? The slide still stays down. Well, the slide is operated off vacuum, and that's through this hole right here. When there's enough vacuum from the engine, this gets pulled up by the vacuum from the engine. And there's a couple mods you can do to make this move faster, to give you better throttle response, and that's drilling the slide, which I already have done. If you're interested in that, you need to look up the 22-cent mod, because I'm probably not going to go through all that right now. What I am going to show you is how to put this KLX kit in here. So, fuel's drained. Give me just a second, I'm going to gather up a couple tools and I'll be right back with you. Now these screws right here that I'm removing are kind of finicky. They're not the best screws. So if you've never opened up your carb before and these screws are bad, don't be surprised. You should probably replace them with a good set of Allen heads. Now this cap is under pressure. It's got a spring on it. So the last thing you want to do is just go and pop these off without having your hand over the top of it. So put a finger on top, put downward pressure on it, remove your 4 screws, wiggle it up and let it slowly come up, because like I'm showing you, there's a spring under there. There you go. So the cap is off, and then there's a spring. And this is your diaphragm right here, which is not the strongest thing in the world. So when you pull this out, it's best to take your finger, your middle finger here, and take it and push up on the slide to pull that diaphragm out. Don't just pull it out by the actual rubber diaphragm, because if you rip this, it's not the cheapest thing to replace. Okay, there's the top of the carburetor there, and we're just going to set her aside for now. All the work for now is going to be done right here. So here's your slide. Now you can only go back in to the carburetor one way, so you don't have to worry about that. There is going to be wear on this, so you don't have to worry about that. That's common. But what you're going to do is you're going to get your rag. You're going to give it a little cleaning. Don't jostle it too much or flip it over, because there's pieces that could fall out. Now, inside there you're going to see a little white castle thing. So what you're going to do is flip it over, let that fall out. The spiky ends go down, the needle sits right below it. We're going to push the needle up. I'm actually going to drop it down. And we're going to see what we end up here. So, there we have it. Now I have done the 22-cent mod, so I have two washers that were like this underneath my needle. And this was to hold the needle up higher to make it richer. This is kind of the ghetto rig way to get around having to buy the KLX kit. Do I suggest it? Yeah, maybe. Just depends on what you want to do. So, set these aside because we won't be needing those. I'm going to take this needle from the KLX kit and I'm going to show you the difference here. Okay, so needle on the left is factory, needle on the right is KLX. Left needle is thick until it gets right to the end, and then it tapers off really quickly. Right needle has a normal taper all the way down to the tip, just an even taper pretty much. Big difference here is the factory needle is non-adjustable. It does not have a clip that you can move. The KLX has clips that you can move. So if you're riding in different elevations or different jetting settings, or if you have a unique setup that you need to fine-tune, you can use this clip to adjust the needle height. Eagle Mike recommends second clip setting, so that's what I'm going to go with. So while this is out, this is very important. You need to take and you need to inspect this diaphragm very well. If there's a tear or a hole in this diaphragm, you need to know about it now. So I'm going to fast forward through this while I do a little inspection on this diaphragm here. Okay, now we're going to install our clip. Or not our clip, we're going to install the needle. So Eagle Mike recommends on the alternate settings that you drill the slide to a 7/64, which is what is part of the 22-cent mod is, and that is this hole right here. And I've already done that, so I'm not going to show you how to do that now. If you want information on that, check on the 22-cent mod. But what we are going to do is everything else. Okay, so the brass washer here goes on top of the clip, just like that. And then this needle goes down through the center hole here, just like that. Brass washer on top. Your little plastic castle goes on top of that. And whenever you put pressure on the top of the castle, you shouldn't be able to push the needle up. That's important. Okay. Now we're done for the top side of the car basically. But this can be kind of finicky getting this back in. So what we're going to do right now is set this to the side. Just like that. Actually, we're going to prop it up. I don't want to bend the needle or anything. Okay. And then we're going to flip it over and install the main jet. So, remember what I was talking to you about these screws? These screws are a pain. That one broke loose. That one broke loose. Okay, so I've got one screw that's kind of being a pain. And I did not order the, or actually I did not get the screw upgrade kit. So this may be an issue. I'm going to try to find a different screwdriver. Okay, using my second screwdriver I was able to break that one loose. So I highly suggest that you get the screw upgrade kit. Okay, float bowl. Comes off just like that. And there you have it. Main jet is this jet right here. And that's what you're going to replace. And it sits inside a holder of some sort. I don't remember the exact technical term for it. But what you're going to do is we're going to put a wrench on this holder and then take a flathead screwdriver and break that loose. So give me just a second. I'm going to grab a flathead or a regular screwdriver and a wrench that'll fit that. There we go. Broke the main jet loose. So spin out the main jet. And there you have it. Trying to see what the number is on here. Looks like 148. 148 is what that's in there right now. So the needle taper is different on the new one. So the jets are actually, we're going smaller on the main jet. So we pull these out here, and give me a second while I figure out which one is the 142. 145. Okay, so this is our 142 main jet, and we're going to take it and you're going to put it right there. Just like the other one, put your wrench on it. It doesn't take a whole lot of He-Man, you're just seating it. It's all brass, so you know, don't think you have to He-Man this stuff. Now, the other thing on his instructions says idle mix screw 1 3/4 turns from seated. Now this right here is your idle mixture screw. If you have not done a modification to your carburetor, there's a silver plug right here. Now when you look at the instructions for the 22-cent mod, it tells you how to drill this plug out. It's not very hard. But what they want is 1 3/4 inside, 1 3/4 turns out from lightly seated. And lightly just means don't get seated. So let's see where we're at right now. So there's 1 turn, 1 1/2, 2 turns. We are 2 turns out right now. We're going to go 1 3/4 out. So from here we go 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 1 3/4 right there. That's 1 3/4 out. So that's a good baseline right there. So we're ready to button her back up. Since I don't have any replacement screws right now, I'm going to go ahead and reuse the screws that I have. Knowing good and well that I need to replace them. One thing I got to do is, while I'm tightening these down, so I got to tell y'all, I got to apologize to a guy I know that's here in town named RJ. And RJ asked me if I could holler at him before I did this, just so he could come over and watch me do it, because he's wanting to do it to his bike. And I got to apologize to you, RJ, because my hours have been real jacked up lately, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to holler at you to come over to do this, so I figured I'd make a video so you could see. And with the understanding that you holler at me, I will come over and help you do this. So our factory main jet we're going to set over here with our other factory stuff. Now our slide. Like I said, slide can only go in one way. You're going to want to make sure you get the needle in the hole. And I picked the right direction. Okay. Now getting this diaphragm where it goes is really a pain in the butt. First time I did this, I didn't get it right, and my bike wouldn't run worth a dang. I had to pull it all back apart. So the best way to do this is take a tad bit of axle grease and put inside this groove right here. And then you take this and you stick it in there onto that axle grease, and it'll hold it in place while you get the cap started. So I'm going to grab just a dab of axle grease. I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back. We got a little axle grease. So I'm going to get a little bit on my needle here. Okay, so we're ready for our spring and our cap. So put your spring in there, and then cap. Usually there's kind of a charged side on this thing, but anyway. Make sure right before you button this thing down that that is in that groove, and push your cap on it. So I am 100% sure that that is in that groove. I'm going to start these screws right here. Now, one thing to remember when you're working with aluminum, well, basically anything, is make sure and start your screws easily. No big wrenches or anything like that. Usually by hand. See, I'm choked up on the screwdriver just using the neck of it, for example. You don't want to cross thread these bad boys. Okay, so my lid is on there. What you're going to do is reach down here and manually lift the slide to make sure that everything's working properly. It should fall down and drop. You should feel a kind of little thud when it hits. That means it's going all the way to the bottom. There will be that air passage underneath it when it's all the way closed. It never actually fully closes because it's got to have some air passages for idle. Okay guys, so that is the KLX kit from Eagle Mics. That is how you install it. It's really pretty simple. The hardest part of this whole ordeal is getting the carburetor out of the bike, and even that is not that bad. The hardest part of that is getting this nut off the enricher, or choke, whatever you want to call it, out of the carburetor, and that is the toughest part of this entire job. So if you can accomplish that, you can do this mod. Usually you end up scratching it all up and using about 12 different pairs of pliers, and it's just a really annoying part. So anyway, they do sell replacements for that, so that's going to be another video when I eventually get rid of that thing and replace it with something different. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps you with modding your KLR. Eagle Mics sells this kit. I'm going to have a link to his website in the comments below, or in the description below. If I can find it, yeah, I probably will. I'll put a description or a link to the 22-cent mod instructions also. That's what I did first before I started on the KLX kit, and I ran it for, I don't know, a year or so. That's a good mod. If you don't want to put the money into the KLX kit, you can do that, but in all honesty, if you're pulling the carb, you might as well just go all out and put the KLX kit in there. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has been another short how-to. I say short, this one's probably a 10-minute video. a short how-to on how to put the KLX kit in. Thanks, guys.